When I hear you explain the interaction between hormones, you make it sound so, maybe not simple, but it's easy to understand, which I really appreciate. I am so weak in this area. For all of the people that we've talked to that are experts in this topic, the interplay between estrogen and cortisol, it gets so perplexing to me. I'm so glad to have you back on to help make some sense of it and make it a lot more simple for us.
Yeah, I enjoy that. That's the way it should be. I'd say two things about that. One is, I'm always reminded when I get a question like that that, the Latin word for doctor is called docere, and that stands for teacher. And this is what's missing a lot in the healthcare organizations today is that the doctor is, if at all, not playing that role of teaching their patients about um, their issues, what are the options of getting well, and how do you approach wellness, as opposed to we've become more of kind of a disease management system where let's find the prescription medicine that best suits some symptomatic relief of what you're dealing with, and if that works, then let's just keep you on that for the rest of your life. And in no way in my mind is that addressing the root cause of the problem, nor will it ever. And then you can add on to that, what's the long-term effect of being on some of these medicines and combinations of medicines for a long, long period of time? We don't even know that yet. So, um, you know, going back to what you said is, I pride myself in trying to take on that role of teacher, and that means explaining to people, especially the wheelhouse that I work in, which is largely, women between uh, 40 and 65 who um, are in some way or fashion, even, well, I'll just say it that way, in some way or fashion, there's a hormonal restructuring landscape change that is taking place and what we call the beginning of perimenopause that is going to be a huge factor in this woman's life and her health for the next 25 years. And if you don't get on top of that, there's a lot of things that you can't accomplish while you are not in a good state of hormonal balance. So a lot of times what has to happen first is you've got to take care of those issues because you're not going to be I probably get approached more than anything for weight loss. um and let me tell you, Casey, again, if you were just to take you're a 50-year-old woman who is either just entering menopause or just about to enter menopause. Um, and she thinks that just by going out and following a low carbohydrate diet, she's going to lose all this weight that she saw somebody down the street lose. And I'm here to tell you that I hope so. That'd be great, but that's not usually the way it plays out because there's so many hormones involved in that are changing now, and every one of these hormones has some kind of role in your metabolic function. And so, as they're declining because the body no longer wants to support childbirth, that comes along with a lowered metabolic rate because of all these falling hormones. So you can't just go out and eat a low carb diet and lose weight like other people can because the rules of the game have changed. They've moved the goalpost, and now it's not any harder necessarily, but you just can't use the old playbook. You got to change up the how you do this to get you back to be a fat burner and get more energy and sleep better and all that kind of stuff.
It's such a different context. I think about the difference between somebody who was always metabolically healthy. Maybe they had been, following all the right rules from the very beginning. Maybe their parents were up on this stuff and they were feeding them the right thing through childhood and adolescence and then into adulthood, versus somebody who is arriving at that age and they didn't have that advantage like most of us. We were brought up on low fat diets and ate tons of garbage, and we're in a totally different state where, yeah, low carb might be able to help, but we're going to need additional things like supplements, like we mentioned in the introduction. There's other things that we're going to need, and that's why, again, we're just so grateful for people like you who are able to point those things out and know how to steer people in the right direction, how to individualize things to make it really personable for different circumstances.
Right. Absolutely.
Yeah.
And why not? What I say the why not is that one of the most frustrating things is that we for conventional medical doctors or the um the long-standing allopathic community of medicine, which is really kind of has its roots in the beginning of the creation of pharmaceutical medicines back in the late 30s and 40s. Then everything shifted away from, before that, your toolbox as a doctor was diet, exercise, maybe if you had an understanding of botanical extracts and plant medicines and things like that, and lifestyle changes and all those kind of stuff. Now that's kind of moved into, oh, we've got a script for that, so go fill this down at the pharmacy kind of thing, and that is not really helping too many people.
Yeah.
And most people have either themselves or a family member who they're watching them walk down that road, and it's really not doing a whole lot of good, except for their medicine cabinets keeps filling up with these little orange bottles of stuff that they got to swallow every day.